Hi, folks, and welcome to today's webinar in which we'll are scheduled to discuss building a secure, integrated, and touchless access control system. We wish to thank our sponsor, ONVIF, for bringing this event to you. And you get to see both of us in live living color today, so it's good shape. So organizations now are looking to reopen their doors to staff and visitors during the COVID-19 crisis, and increasingly they're migrating towards touchless and technologies to provide a safe and secure and a more comfortable building entry experience for their employees and vendors and clients. Replacing or adding new peripheral access control technologies such as biometrics for door control, license plate recognition cameras for parking management, or QR code reading cameras for visitor management can easily be made by these facilities to update their access control systems to take into account health and safety concerns from the pandemic. We encourage you to join the discussion with Per Björkdahl, who is the chairman of the ONVIF Steering Committee, as he joins me in discussing how integrators and end users can integrate touchless access control technologies from multiple vendors to create modern access control solutions. Some of the issues that we'll explore today include how ONVIF Profile D provides system security for edge devices installed in an unsecured location, how to combine ONVIF profiles to provide an integrated access control and video access point at the edge, and how ONVIF profiles provide end users and systems integrators more choice in designing a system with peripherals that fit specification applications. Hi, I'm Steve Lasky. I'm the editorial director of SecurityInfoWatch.com and our print magazines, Security Business, Security Technology Executive, and Locksmith Ledger International. I will be your moderator and working with Per today during our webinar. And again, we'd like to thank ONVIF for sponsoring this event. Before we begin, just a few words about our webinar technology. This platform allows our audience to be more involved with the presentation, and more importantly, it allows you to watch this event the way you want to watch it. To begin, feel free to customize your webcast console. You can move windows around by dragging on the little bar or the title bar, or resize your windows by clicking on the lower right corner of any window. You will notice a toolbar at the bottom of your console. These buttons allow you to open and close the engagement tools on your screen. If at any time you experience difficulties with the audio or the advancement of the slides, simply press your F5 key to refresh your webinar console. We encourage you to ask questions at any time using the Q&A tool on the left side of the screen. Per and I want to make this as much as of an interactive event as we can, so please join us. If you're unable to get your questions answered during the web chat, we will do our best to reach out to you afterward. Also, you may qualify for CEU credits following this webinar. You will see a button at the bottom of the right on the console indicating certificate. Those who stay for the duration of the live event can hit that certificate button, and your attendance certification will be emailed to you directly. If you forget to download it following the event, no worries. You can go back into the archives and retrieve the certificate there. Finally, today's webinar, including the audio and slides, will be archived on our site for a period of 1 year. So now that we have the housekeeping doors all taken care of, let's go ahead and introduce today's speaker. Per Björkdahl is the current chair of the ONVIF Steering Committee, and he has been since the fall of 2012. Per is involved with ONVIF's conformance initiatives and represents the member-driven organizations as a speaker at trade shows and other technology events, and to the media at large. His professional career includes a lifelong commitment to technical convergence with access communications and company like TAC, which is now part of Schneider Electric, and advocating for the acceptance of communication standards in the building automation industry. Per has worked in the physical security industry for more than a quarter of a century and was an early supporter of IP technology within our industry. Per is currently Access Communications Director of Business Development. It's a position he's been with for almost 16 years. So with that, Per, let's begin the discussion.
Thank you, Steve. It's a pleasure to be given the opportunity to talk a little bit about ONVIF here. As you said, I've been with ONVIF for quite some time. So I've seen the industry grow before we started ONVIF, and then I've been with ONVIF to see things grow even further. But here today, we're talking about building a secure and integrated and touchless access control system. Well, if we start out with what ONVIF does, we don't really build systems. We are an enabler, because we believe in a mission, and that is to provide and promote open interfaces to the security industry for effective interoperability. That means that a number of manufacturers get together, we put our heads together, the engineering put their heads together, and we come out with standards that make the communication between devices in the security industry work as a dream. And we all share one vision, and that in the future, all security systems will share one interface. So that's where it all started. But before jumping straight into the access control area, ONVIF has its roots in the video part. And funny enough, this is also how CCTV once started, as an accessory to access control. So it seems like we're 45, 50 years later, we meet again. And we want to make sure that the same standards that we developed for the video integration can be used and partly sort of integrated into the access control system. So if we see what's happening in the industry, we've seen a change taking place gradually, but I think the pandemic that is COVID has created around us has accelerated it somehow. So we see now how we change the use of buildings. We see the change of security technologies that are used. We see the change in how space is utilized. And responsibility is now heavily on the building owners and the manager of the buildings. They have to maintain and implement and make sure that new safety measures are executed in the correct way. You need to provide a feeling of safety and security for the occupancies of the buildings. So this is something that is very currently important in the industry. And perhaps that the existing access control manufacturers in the world, they don't seem to be renew themselves with technology that often. So I think the need for standards would have possibly increased by this.
Per, I mean, how long do you think the touchless technologies are going to be in demand? You know, with the pandemic, once it passes, do you think that this is going to remain a long-term and a game-changing shift in technology, or is this just a short-term remedy to meet the current crisis?
I think it's accelerating a change that was already sort of started. Because if you look at conventional access control technology, it takes a little bit of a time for you to present your badge, you swipe it, the door swings open. I know in modern buildings in the financial industry districts of major cities, they only do a employee verification, totally touchless. And that cuts down the time of entry. But the purpose of that was to cut down the time of entry. Now we have another element brought into this, that you really need to have a touchless opening, because you don't want people to go around and touch things with the risk of spreading infection. So I think this is an acceleration of something that would have happened anyway. And I think it's here to stay. Convenience is a very, very big factor when we're talking about these things that you have to do to maintain a high sort of level of security in your premises. So what we have to do, we have to adopt to these new procedures, social distancing. If we say you're walking up to a turnstile, you can't sort of breathe down the neck of the guy before you. You have to sort of give it a little bit of distance. You have to restrict the direction of flow of people. I know people that constantly go the wrong way in the supermarket, despite the big red arrows on the floors. You have to look at occupancy restrictions, facility-wide or on the individual tenant spaces or floors. There needs to be a much larger element of control You have meeting rooms, other common areas where you have to know how many people there are, how to get access, how to get in. And everything is built on the fact that they need to be a little bit distant from each other and preferably don't touch the same things. So there are some new technologies building up around this. You have self-service, visitor management, kiosks, QR codes. You use your phone to some extent. You have automatic door, touchless switches. One pretty late but growing popular thing is elevator call systems. You call the elevator to your floor by an app on your phone, and that would reduce the actual contact with the button that you normally press. The mobile technology as used in this system is constantly increasing. You have your credentials on your phone, you open the doors on your phone. So a lot of the access control, shall we say, fundamentals move to different type of platforms. If we look at a normal access control system and where the building owners are looking to migrate to some sort of touchless control technology, if you manufacturer or your supplier of your access control system, if they're unable to provide you that type of technology you want to make your system touchless, without the standard, you will run into a problem because you can only add to the system you have equipment that is either manufactured or approved by your manufacturer. If we get the word to adopt an open standard for this, you can mix and match and much more efficiently use the type of access control technology that is suitable for your specific environment. So that automatically then gives you freedom of choice. And normally in office buildings, multiple sort of tenants' office buildings, it's the tenant that is responsible for his own security system. So if he wants to do something, he really could be picky and take whatever he likes from a design point of view or from a functional point of view. But to make that happen, you really need a standard to drive that. So the standard-based approach is open doors for peripherals of different vendors. You can look at the make of a product or the function of a product, and you can make it work with your system. You can upgrade. Yeah?
No, go ahead.
Yeah, you can upgrade whenever you like. You're not sort of pinned down by the system that you have installed and waiting for their news to come. You can support planned migration to newer and different types of technology. So this really gives you or as an end user, gives you the flexibility to build out your system the way you want it to look like and have the features you like.
If you're looking at other advantages that ONVIF is going to offer in a building environment, what would those?
You cut out a bit there. Can you repeat this?
What other advantages does ONVIF offer in a building environment?
Well, we do offer sort of multi-vendor discipline, and what this presentation here will lean into now is that you can combine disciplines. I said earlier that ONVIF is coming out from the video industry, and what we will be talking about now is that you can combine these two disciplines under the same umbrella without having to go through and build once and maintain forever scenario when you want to do integration between technologies. So just a little bit of quick view how ONVIF works with this, in that we create profiles, and profile is really a subset of features and functions. We aim at fulfilling the very fundament, the base of features and functions that every manufacturer needs to support anyway. And by doing so, we're lifting the workload of maintaining the fundamentals, those things that are the same for every manufacturer. And that means we're enabling time and resources to concentrate on the innovative stuff. So if we take an ONVIF profile, you will say, oh, it will only cover, say, 75% of the possible features. Yes, but it will also cover 75% of the possible deployments. And that means you free up a lot of time for client manufacturers and for device manufacturers. So we have done 2 access control profiles prior to this. We have done the profile C, which was a, how shall we say, the first entry profile where we wanted to give the video management system manufacturers an opportunity to integrate on a lower level or an easy integration with access control. Simply say, being able to see if a door is open and change status and stuff. From that, we developed into a Profile A, which gave us a little bit of a broader access control configuration capabilities. You were basically able to create smaller systems based on ONVIF. The objective has never been to replace the big enterprise systems that you have out there. So what we do now have in draft are two more profiles. One is a Profile D, which again is an access control profile, and that access control profile is a little bit different from previous profiles. We go into that a little bit more in detail, and we're also working on a profile for metadata and analytics, because signaling today in video management system and building control systems, it's not only the signal, it's a lot of things around that. So it's not only an image, it's a lot of data that is needed. I mean, if we're talking analytics, you want to know what is in the picture, etc. And this will also be useful and needed in different applications around the door. A little bit of repetition. The Profile C was the initial profile, was the first profile that ONVIF released for access control. So it's a basic door control service, device management. That means how you program the unit. And you can do a little bit of an event framework and some security. And then we moved into Profile A, which gives you a little more capabilities of credentials and schedules and access rules, meaning that you can build yourself a little access control system around that. And then the new profile, where you can transfer input credentials, identifiers, and requests for access. You can, oops, what happened now? I went back to slide 5. I think I have to advance again. There you go. So you would combine functions like you can do a verification, and based on that verification using video, you can decide whether you will lock or unlock the device. So it will support other profiles in conjunction and being integrated between video and access control, and still using ONVIF as the fundamental communication protocol.
So, here's an overview. What is unique here about the combination of video and access control? I mean, don't other ONVIF profiles enable something similar?
Yeah, but specifically, if you want to sort of put this feature into, say, a controller, saying that you have a positive verification of a badge or a visual verification of an employee, you can take that video information and immediately open the door instead of doing an integration on a higher level. So it becomes more efficient. So you could use you can use other technology to do that verification. So here's the slide that sort of overlooks the different profiles, and as you see, the text in the boxes from right going to left become bigger, more and more. So I mean, there is more and more features that is added onto this, and also a very good description of the targeted user is, gives you a description of the services that it provides. So it's really an advancement in both complexity and feature set that we'll be able to cover. So typical use cases for Profile D could be entry system, parking gates, license plate recognition, mobile credentials, or biometric verifications. The idea here is that you should be able to integrate with providers of these different types of devices into your existing access control system by using a standard. Entry systems, as we see them today, I think door cams have become a type of a new device out there. And it's really a camera and a keypad combined in one. So a profile like this will make it possible for you to combine the camera and the audio, which is quite a regular function of a camera today, and with an audio input and a keypad, and all communicating over an ONVIF interface. So if you have this device supporting ONVIF and you have your controller supporting ONVIF, you're in the game. So again, the parking gate license plate camera, it can send the credential information to the access control system for a decision. It can prompt users for additional credentials such as PIN or show a face or some other credential. And you can enable the integration between license plate recognition cameras and the gate controller. So it offers you a new type of integration. You can use mobile credential technology, as I mentioned, for the elevators. You can support Bluetooth, low energy, or NFC, near field communication, etc., to enable new types of touchless devices to fulfill your access control needs. And you can have it in exterior facilities, tenant space, meeting rooms, anywhere. So it really gives you a new era. And I think this also combined with what's happening in the access control world right now, where the access control systems no longer only opens the door. It has a multitude of functions. It can count the number of people. It can affect the air quality in the building. So the need for the information coming out of the access control system is constantly increasing. And I think this is an excellent way for new innovative companies using a standard and can come into the game with very smart and unique features. So the benefits of standards overall is that it gives you a very large freedom of choice. You're not locked in with your supplier as you used to be. You're future-proof in a different way. You know, as long as the product supports the profile, you can replace that at a later date. All you have to care about is the profile and the ONVIF conformance. And you have a reliable interoperability. It's a very easy out-of-the-box feature and function. There is not any complex setup or anything. It's just get in there. It's a simplified installation, which makes it much far easier than when you have to do a special installation or programming for every device that you add on. So the benefits of the ONVIF service standard is that it's a service-oriented architecture. You can replace update components as you need. You separate from configuration and control and monitoring. And you have interdisciplinary interoperability. That means, in this case, with a Profile D added to the game, you have interoperability between access control and video in a totally seamless fashion. So what does Standardo do? They provide options. The building owners need to provide safe and efficient access control solutions. They don't need to only offer what your supplier offers. They can put demand on the supplier and saying, I want this at the main turnstile and I want this at the levels. I want this at the meeting rooms. So it requires the ability for interoperability between manufacturers. And the only way to do this is to have a very effective standard, just like ONVIF. So the standards, they ensure the flexibility you need for your efficient equipment. And it's a very good choice for the future because you're not locked in with your current supplier. And you have the flexibility to choose between manufacturers and also put your suppliers to test to give you the absolutely best solution for your money. I think that concludes my presentation.
Well, we are definitely at that time where we're going to let Pierre answer some questions. And if you haven't already submitted some, we would appreciate you doing so now by using the Submit Question button on the lower left of your presentation viewer window. And Per, we've already gotten several very good questions. So let me start going through them here. We have one from Commend, who wants to know what access control vendors are working on Profile D currently.
You can see that on the onvif.org website. You have the members. I cannot answer for the individual manufacturers where they are in the product development phase. So you have to sort of conclude that the access control members you find in ONVIF are involved in this. it's a little bit of a cryptic answer, but but we have to respect the individual development plans of each company. But I think the company name in the member list gives that away.
Okay. We've got another question here that wants to know, how do you prevent people using a touchless access control system from accidentally opening doors with proximity?
Well, proximity is just a few centimeters. So I don't think that's going to be accidentally. It's not that you're like 6 feet away and opens the door. Everything is based on a very tight proximity.
All right. We've got someone here from Rakuten wants to know. We call it employee identification. So where, as you called it, well, she says, we call it employee identification, 1N, whereas you called it employee verification. Is there a difference? Can you explain that?
No, there is no difference. I'm not myself from the access control industry, so we're talking in general terms, and you can call it identification or verification. The purpose of the thing is the same. You verify that it's the correct ID of that person's face.
Okay. Per, this person wants to know, do you forecast more man-trap types of access controls due to COVID-19?
Hard to tell. As I said, I'm not from the access control industry. All that I hear from my members is that we're probably going to see access control solutions that can provide a safe distance between people. So man traps possibly, but again, I think that technology is a little bit slow also in passing by. So I don't know.
All right. Also, when you're looking at man traps too, it's a fairly selective set of environments as well, I would imagine, is you probably have other options like turnstiles or secured revolving doors that you might want to use. So
I think it probably would be go ahead.
No, to finish up.
Yeah. No, I think it will also differ from type of classification, how secure your plant is.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. Question here. What is the most common use case you see for profile such as Profile D?
Well, the most common use case that we'll be working around is to grant access, where you need a combination of shall we call it an employee identification. You present your card, you identify the employee, and you grant access. So that's where you involves a visual verification. If the visual verification is automated or manual, that is not determined by the profile.
Okay. All right, we got time for a couple of more questions here. To what extent can technology assist us with these pandemic precautions? How will standards help us guide us? How will standards help guide and return us when folks get back to work and trying to get into a normal situation and a routine as possible? So how can standards help us here?
Yeah. What we hope in ONVIF is that by adopting standard, you can make the choice of different types of equipment wider, so you can find technology that suits your needs more exact, and it will also hopefully spur companies, innovative companies, to get into the game when they have good ideas that you don't see in the market currently. And by using a standard as a base layer, it's much shorter time to market for those companies.
Okay. All right. I think so. This is probably going to be our last question. So where does ONVIF's addition of an open source development come into play, especially in terms of advancing interoperability?
Well, it enables anyone, really, individuals or company, to bring ideas, to help looking at developing specifications. So it really opens up the ability for a much broader developer community to contribute. Up till now, ONVIF has been is a technical alliance, and companies are members, and those companies assign people to work with it. If you're an individual engineer with a big interest in technology, by going open source, anyone can contribute to any level. But I think the biggest advantage for ONVIF to go open source on the spec development is that we rationalize the handling of the spec development, because there's a lot of administration behind that to really qualify the contribution and to make it into a profile eventually. But by opening up, we see that we can receive contribution from a much broader audience than the members themselves.
Very good. All right, Per. Well, I want to thank you very much for coming on board here and providing us some insights on just a cursory discussion on touchless. I know there's a lot more to be discussed in a half hour. It's a little tough to get into the weeds, but I think this gave us a good indication of some of the long and short-term issues that are going to be confronting facilities folks, and especially how ONVIF is planning on helping with that process. I want to thank everybody who attended today's program, as well as Per, for sharing his insights on this very important subject. And of course, I want to thank ONVIF for sponsoring. The webinar will be archived on our site for a year following today's presentation, and you will receive an email notification once that has occurred. To access more webinars, visit our website at securityinfowatch.com. And again, thank you very much for ONVIF and for Per sharing this, and everybody have a safe and productive day.